let's talk some Pittsburgh Steelers football. We'll start with the Baltimore Ravens making the addition of Odell Beckham Jr., a one-year deal worth $15.5 million, could go up to $18 million. I saw somebody from The Athletic say that an NFL executive straight out said to him after the signing that crazy was pretty much the word he would use. He wouldn't even say overpaid. When you saw the deal, first off, I think I was surprised that it happened this quickly to Baltimore with their questions about a quarterback. But, what were your thoughts on the matter?
Well, yeah, that was my first kind of thought, is why invest this kind of money in a big-time receiver when you don't even know who's going to be throwing to him? My next thought was kind of, does this make it any more likely that Lamar will play with the franchise tag?
I don't know.
I get one of the gripes with the Ravens was the lack of weapons and stuff like that, but it still seems like it's all about the money with him, which just goes back to, why would you invest this kind of money in a move that is not going to move the needle for you unless you have your elite MVP caliber quarterback with you?
Yeah, that's how I mean, you saw the picture. Did you see the picture of Lamar and OBJ last night after
Yeah, they were
the deal,
FaceTiming
the
with each other.
FaceTime thing? I took that as a hint that he's going to play this season, but I also, like at the end of the day, money speaks. And if I've learned anything in the NFL, it's that, yeah, like getting a star wide receiver is cool. And that certainly helps things, I believe. But $200 million guaranteed is always going to trump Odell Beckham Jr. Like, that's not going to change. And my thought was like, yeah, okay, it was cool. It was a good signing. I think that for OBJ, for a guy who clearly said, I want to go be on a contender and, make some money, it kind of just felt like he just took the biggest deal that he was offered. He didn't expect to get a deal lower than this, which, I mean, $18 million that's huge for a 30-year-old wide
Right.
receiver who hasn't played in a year and a half.
Right, coming
I
off,
mean,
what was the injury? Achilles,
an
ACL?
ACL, so
Mhm.
ACL injury in the Super Bowl, didn't play last season. So you're 30, a year removed from football. You have no idea what you're going to get out of this guy. And you just handed him $15.5 million and can make $18 million. Like, to me, Odell Beckham Jr. got a steal. And I think he realized that, took the money. And at the same argument, Lamar has got to be sitting there going, you just handed this guy $15.5 million, but you won't pay me what I'm worth. You're going to overpay a 30-year-old wide receiver, but you won't pay the value of your 26-year-old MVP quarterback. It was a good move for them, like, to save face and kind of say, hey, we're trying. We're trying. But I don't think it, just like you said, I don't think it moves the needle at all. Like, if I'm a Baltimore Ravens fan, I'm still sitting here thinking we are in a lot of trouble because we don't have a quarterback. Like, they just don't. Odell Beckham Jr. isn't going to convince Lamar to play this season. He's just not.
Yeah, and it's not like the Ravens are working with this abundance of cap space either. Like, why even? I don't know. If you wanted a receiver, that was fine, but like this receiver for that much money at this moment in time, it makes no sense, and it seems purely kind of like you referenced, a saving face move, just to
Yeah.
say, oh, we're trying something. But I don't know. That's an expensive way to show that you're trying, and I just don't see how it changes their outlook for the coming year. I mean, it's like you're still all centered around, oh, is Lamar coming back or not? But with $15 million less in cap space.
Yeah. And then last week, while you were gone, Anthony Richardson comes to Baltimore on a pre-draft visit. My mind starts going. I put out an article I don't know, near the end of last week. It's a theory on, well, why are they scouting the guy that's going to go top 5 in the NFL draft when they pick 22nd? That's just not going to happen. So there's got to be some thought of them moving up. The Indianapolis Colts would be the team to move up to do it with. For two sides here, I don't think Odell Beckham Jr. really cares. Like, he could be like, Tyler Huntley could be my quarterback. I'm making $15.5 million this season.
Right.
I didn't sign here to win a Super Bowl. Like, I signed here to make $15.5 million. Could have went to a Super Bowl contender, decided to come to Baltimore. I mean, the Ravens might be looking at this saying, well, we'll just go get a rookie quarterback, get rid of Lamar. He'll have a very reliable set of hands to throw the football to. But I don't think, again, like, it's a 1-year solution for a team that came into this season with everybody upset about how they just continue to do patchwork instead of actually fixing problems. And their biggest issue is their quarterback that they're just trying to do patchwork on instead of finding a long-term solution with Lamar Jackson. It just, again, like it seems to fall, nothing's changed. Like it's a big headline. It's very cool for the Ravens, and it's exciting, and it'll sell jerseys, and it'll get people in the stadium, and fans could be excited for a little while. But it follows the exact trend of everything that they've done wrong this offseason. And I just think that it stays the same there. But at the same time, you do have a reliable set of hands if you do get a rookie. I'm not going to say for Tyler Huntley. I don't think that, you could put Tyler Huntley back there with every wide receiver possible. I don't think it does anything. But for a rookie quarterback, I mean, that's got to add some confidence. Let me ask this. If the Ravens go out and get DeAndre Hopkins now, do you think that's enough to say, oh, okay, now I think that Lamar's got to come back because he sees the opportunity in this season?
It'd be tempting, for sure, but just can the Ravens do that? Like,
I heard that DeAndre's got he's willing to take a pay cut to whatever team he's traded to.
Interesting. Okay, so maybe it is possible. I mean, yeah, like if I'm Lamar Jackson, at a certain point, we were talking about him and his relationship with the Ravens, saying that he is kind of their future, and they kind of go as Lamar Jackson goes. But you throw in a guy like DeAndre Hopkins and Odell Beckham Jr., and I think Lamar is looking at his first big chance for not just regular season but postseason success ever in his career. His
He's
first
got one playoff win,
so right? His first real chance to win a Super Bowl, and you just think about all the things that they'd be able to do, even just with DeAndre Hopkins in that offense. Never mind Odell Beckham Jr. and Lamar Jackson in. It would just open up so many things for him. It would be, in my opinion, if I'm Lamar Jackson, probably an opportunity that's too good to pass over.
Yeah, I agree. And that was my thought immediately. Is there is a very short list of guys that could come into Baltimore and keep this together, keep it intact. Odell Beckham Jr. is not one of them, unfortunately. DeAndre Hopkins is. Like, DeAndre Hopkins comes somewhere and you immediately start thinking, okay, this offense could be something, because worst case scenario, I'll just always throw it up to DeAndre Hopkins, and he'll come down with it enough times that I feel comfortable that we'll win games. Odell is not going to give you that, but you get the opportunity to play with a guy like DeAndre and see if you can make some magic. I think I don't want to say is big enough to trump $200 million, but for a year, I think it's big enough to take a chance. And on top of that, I mean, Lamar strikes me as a guy who will take a chance on himself just to prove to everybody I am worth this money. If I'm Lamar, and the fact that he doesn't have an agent scares me in this situation, because I think an agent would tell him, dude, stop. You're crazy. Sit out. You'll make the money. But the fact that it's just him and his mom, I think he'll say, I'm going to go prove myself. I'm going to go play. I'm going to go win a Super Bowl. And I mean, I wouldn't advise to do that. But if you get a guy like DeAndre, it's hard to say no. Now, a guy like Odell, I don't feel that way. And I don't think his thought process is that either. And if it is, I mean, I hope somebody tells him to stop. But again, it just doesn't move the needle. Like, it doesn't move the needle in the entire situation. And I think on top of that, it's a little bit sad that a 30-year-old coming off an ACL surgery, Odell Beckham Jr., is like the greatest wide receiver Lamar's ever had 5 years into his NFL career. Like, that's just, it's a little sad. Like, it's a little sad for the Baltimore Ravens. I don't expect much from them.
Yeah, it is. And you just think about what Lamar could have done if he's, I guess, done right by his team is not.
No, done right. I agree with you on there. I think done right by his team. I think the past 5 years, it's just been ignoring major issues in this offense because they just anticipate Lamar will just save them.
Right, and that's kind of my next point is that they're not that far from, like, they have really good defense. They have a ton of talent on defense. It's like a lot of the solutions are in house, and I think you looked at
Yes.
that team and you plug Lamar back in when he's healthy, and you get him some like when you look at it from a 30,000-foot view, the Ravens aren't unfixable, and they're not that far away from being a contender. It's just they've seemed so unwilling to make the tough decisions that, like I get it. Lamar has some risk attached to him just because of how he plays and his injury
Yeah.
history, but I don't know. The Ravens are unwilling to go all in on the guy that they went all in on when they drafted him, and it just kind of makes
Yep.
no sense, which is why, again, it just seems unlikely that they're gonna go all in on a guy like DeAndre Hopkins to keep Lamar around and to keep him, I don't know, in the fold.
I think that at this point, their strategy is let's just try to peacock our way into Lamar playing under the non-exclusive franchise tag. I don't think it's going to work. But just like you said, I think the Baltimore Ravens are a quarterback away, a quarterback and a capable offense away from being a Super Bowl contender. Lamar Jackson's that quarterback. I don't know if they have the capable offense, but if they could put that together, they're right there. But again, I just don't see. I've already kind of ruled the Baltimore Ravens out of my head as a contender this season, and that's good news for the Pittsburgh Steelers, who seemingly are just going to get better, in year 2 with Kenny Pickett and that defense, and hopefully Matt Canada and the rest of everything that's going on. All Steelers Talk has officially launched their own clothing brand, Black and Gold Apparel, now available on bonfire.com or at the shop tab at our YouTube page. Your new favorite place for Steelers t-shirts, sweatshirts, and crew necks, now out, now available in multiple designs, including some of my favorites, Kenny Comeback, Mute, and Kenny DeGeorge. Check them all out at bonfire.com or on the shop tab at our YouTube page.